Healthcare cost sharing is one of the fastest growing segments of the healthcare industry. Today we talk more about healthcare sharing ministries with Randy Sluder and Dr. Kevin Hull of Altrua Healthshare, one of the fastest growing healthcare ministries in the country, on this week's edition of Managed Care TV. So why don't we get started, and just I'm very interested to ask how Altrua began, and maybe you can give us a little bit of history on your foundation.
Sure, I'll be glad to. Altrua Healthshare, I took over Altrua Healthshare in 2005. Previous executive director and founder at that time, it was based in Utah.
Okay.
And I, at that time, had a company that was negotiating on medical needs for that organization. I've actually negotiated with all of the healthcare sharing ministries at one time or another on their medical needs.
Sure.
Before, they went back to the provider, through the various means, whether it was, from the member or from the organization itself. So very experienced in medical bill negotiating. And so Altrua, formerly Kirtland Healthshare Alliance, was my client. And they received a cease and desist in Utah. And so my wife and I put together a plan and presented to them, and ended up taking it over in October of 2005 and changing the organization and moving it to Texas. And thus was formed Altrua Healthshare.
Very good. So 2005, so gosh, you've got now 13 years invested in this program. What makes you unique?
What makes Altrua unique is a lot of the challenges that we've had to get us to this point. When I brought Altrua to Texas and we became a Texas organization and building here, different states were coming after us, trying to put us in the category of insurance. So a lot of questions, a lot of answers, a lot of going back and forth, which can be pretty grueling. Mm-hmm. We did have a cease and desist put on us in the state of Idaho, and went through that, which was about a 4-year battle, 4-year battle, and had to end up taking it to the Supreme Court. And we won 5-0 at the Supreme Court. So being a small organization, we have mighty power through that, which is not our own power, but we know where our power comes from to be able to excel through things like that.
So that was with the Idaho Supreme Court?
That was.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can read all about it on the internet. It's an interesting story.
Sure.
And it kind of put us into a position with the other healthcare sharing ministries of a uniqueness within that, or within the HCSMs, to be able to say, hey, you know what, Altrua is serious about this. We're not going to roll over and play dead, or roll over and go away. We're going to fight for our members. And I think that, to answer your question, the uniqueness about us is we're diligent in our members, pursuing the happiness of our members, caring for them, like Galatians says.
You say you're kind of forged the path for some of the other healthcare sharing ministries. Has there been other similar situations or conflicts in other states that some of the other healthcare ministries have faced, to your knowledge?
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to answer your question per the other organizations. I can answer
Sure.
it about Altrua.
Gotcha.
And
okay.
For us, we've had several inquiries about Altrua from the departments of insurance. And to say that we forged a way for the other healthcare sharing ministries, I would say that we partnered with them. Okay. There's a leader in every pathway. Sure. So we took the lead in going to the Supreme Court and made a way for the others to operate as well.
Okay, fantastic. And just in general, because I know our viewers will be of different, maybe of different eras, or even, unfamiliar with healthcare sharing ministries. It's not insurance, but what is it? Give us the foundation or the basic fundamental presentation.
Sure. One uniqueness about Altrua is, there's several walks of faith. We are biblically based, like the other organizations. But, we operate with a statement of standards. However, the others operate with a statement of faith.
Okay.
And so one of the things that we do with that, is moving forward and sharing what it's like to care, for each other through the medical cost sharing aspect, according to the guidelines and everything.
And I know that with the changes in the Affordable Care Act, there's no more individual mandate. But prior to that, I know that Healthshare Ministries did meet the qualification for exemption from the individual mandate. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's actually still in place.
Oh, it is?
It's not gone through yet.
Okay.
So the individual mandate is still in fact in place. So we still meet that for our members and families.
Okay. So what's the overall benefit from a individual or family member or family coming into a health sharing ministry versus continuing with traditional health insurance?
Yeah, I think, again, I would like to speak about Altrua, and the uniqueness, but to answer your question, being a part of a bigger community, being part of more of a family, if you will, membership of families that participate in caring for each other. But, narrowing it down to Altrua, the uniqueness with Altrua is that we really care for our members, and we take every measure to press towards that goal of caring for our members. There's challenges in everything. Mm-hmm. Anytime you have people involved, there's challenges. So we're using technology to overcome some of those challenges that people put in place. But we care for our members. As you've talked with Dr. Hull, we've implemented a ministry director that is going to be there for our members and other people, just to have that touch point, to show that we do care. Sure. If there's a member with us, Altrua, operating in different walks of faith, we want to lead them to the cross, if you will.
Okay.
And so having that person, to be able to do that in a non-religious way, because Altrua is not a religious aspect, it's a faith-based aspect. Okay. So we want to be able to have those touch points with our members.
Sure. And Kevin, why don't you elaborate a little bit on your role, Dr. Hull, and what you'll be contributing to the Healthshare?
Sure. We're excited about what it is that the future holds for the ministry itself. This is something that's been a part of what it is that we've wanted to do from the beginning. And really, we want to be that touch point. The ministry wants to be there to allow for members that may have a spiritual need that comes up, but we also want to be there to walk them through those situations from a spiritual perspective. We're not here really to speak from the Healthshare side of things, but rather should something come up, we want to be able to be a touch point for them immediately. Should a family call in and say, we have this type of an issue that's happening with our family, then we want to be a touch point for them immediately, to be able to lead them in prayer, to be able to counsel them, to be with them every step of the way. I think one of the most critical things that we can do from that standpoint is to make sure that we're here for them. And if that involves me going out to that location to be with them, to walk them through that stuff, then that's what we're going to do. We believe it's critical to make sure that the members feel like they have that spiritual touch point. And as Mr. Sluder said, it's not a situation of us wanting to be in a judgment of their standing or anything along those lines. We want to love them as Christ loved them. We want to come alongside what it is that Christ would have done in that very same situation. Fortunately, with technology and things of that nature, we're able to do that. And so we're believing prayer is going to be key. We're believing devotionals are going to be key. We're believing those touch points are going to be awesome. We're excited about what the future holds for the ministry.
Well, gentlemen, we want to take a quick break and pay the bills. We'll be back right after this and talk a little bit more about Altrua Healthshare. We're back talking to Randy Sluder, the Executive Director of Altrua Healthshare, and Dr. Kevin Hull, who is their Director of Ministries, and we want to continue the conversation. I just want to touch on a couple of sensitive topics. Critics may say that when it comes to covering catastrophic events, that could implode a health sharing ministry. What do you say in your defense for that?
Sure. That is one of my favorite topics, actually. It's how I was able to acquire the responsibility for leading Altrua, and that was through the medical bill negotiating aspect. I've been able to create relationships with providers nationwide, doctors, facilities, healthcare providers in general, and we've been able to tap into a resource of being able to have them trust us with our members' money as we pay and share in the medical needs due to discounts and adjustments that have been made. Okay. So we have a whole department that does just that. Every medical need that comes in from the members, they work with the member hand in hand over the phone, through the emails, through social media aspects, things like that, to be able to walk them through getting discounts and adjustments on their medical needs. So you talk about a catastrophic medical bill, we have catastrophic discounts that we're able to put in place to help keep our costs down on the share amounts that come in from our members.
And talk to me more about your affiliation with providers. My experience has been, if I walk into a provider, and I currently do this, and I say, look, I'm going to offer you cash up front, what can you do for me from a discount perspective? I have yet to have any resistance to that. Can you talk to your relationship with providers?
Sure. So it is called a self-pay discount with our members and the other members of Healthcare Sharing Ministries being considered a self-pay person. They are open, most providers are open to a self-pay discount. That's the plumb line sometimes for which we operate off of. We go deeper than that self-pay to be able to create an ongoing relationship. Being a member of Altrua Healthshare, our members can go to any provider of their choice. We do have a network through MultiPlan PHCS, but we're also building our own private network through Altrua. So we encourage our members, if they go to a provider that's not in network through MultiPlan or PHCS, to work with our negotiating team, our medical department, for medical needs coming in. Okay. To work with them on establishing our own private network with them. That way they can go wherever they want. We have a guaranteed discount in place for that particular member. The medical need comes in, gets processed, and the share amounts are going out immediately.
Hello everyone, David DeVito, Division Director from Care National, here with this week's Jobcast. Another beautiful day here in sunny Scottsdale, Arizona. 115 degrees today. Super hot, but not as hot as the jobs we have to talk to you about today. So let's get started with my division, the Healthcare Support Division. We have two jobs up this week. One is in Henderson, Nevada for a medical assistant. A little bit different than most medical assistant positions in that this one is primarily an outreach position. We need someone that can really work the phones, call providers, has worked with EMR systems in the past, is comfortable entering medical records into the system, and that's in Henderson, Nevada, medical assistant. We also have a position in Tucson for claims. Anyone that has at least 3 years of medical claims processing, familiar with ICD-9, ICD-10, CPT codes. We have an outstanding opportunity with a major hospital system in Tucson. Our other divisions, starting off with the leadership division, we're looking for a vice president of utilization management in Boston. Previous health plan experience and leadership is required, and they prefer local candidates for this one. We also have a manager of care coordination in Portland. Minimum of 7 years of previous leadership experience is required for this one. You can either have the payer or provider side experience, and a full relocation package for candidates outside of Portland is available, and a strong benefits and a great leadership team there as well. The clinical division has a few jobs open. Very excited about these. The first is for behavioral health case manager. It's actually in 4 cities in upstate New York. The first is Binghamton, Rochester, Syracuse, and Buffalo. For this one, you'll need to have a bachelor's degree in social work, counseling, or a related field with at least 2 years of experience in community outreach or something equivalent. Bilingual candidate also preferred for this, not required though. And then finally, the tech division. Very proud to have that tech division launched here at Care National. We have one exciting opportunity looking for a solution architect strategist. That's going to be in Richmond, Virginia. That requires a minimum of 4 years of related work experience in support of a large-scale, multi-tiered environment, as well as a public trust clearance is mandatory for that. So that's what we have on the plate this week. Looking forward to hearing back from you. Contact this right here, and we'll be ready to talk to you about the jobs. Again, David DeVito, Care National. Have a smoking hot week, guys.
I have to tell you, your website is awesome. I went on and did some research. I found your flow chart, which I found to be extremely helpful to understanding just the basics of how things work in your operation. If I'm a young family, coming into this for the first time, what can somebody expect from the time that they sign up for initial membership through when they get their first medical expense covered? What can they expect? What can they expect? Can you give us kind of a little bit of a window into that first experience?
Sure. There's negativity and everything, so I'm going to just tap on that a little bit, but expand on it. So, we've experienced a lot of growth. And so with that comes growing pains. And so some of the touch points that we like to have with our members and the member experience has been challenged a little bit. Okay. So we're resolving those issues first so that we can have retention with our members. And with the retention comes good quality member services, ease of access for the members, especially going to the provider and not having to worry about that medical bill and how it's going to be taken care of and all of that kind of stuff. With some of the organizations, the healthcare sharing ministries, the member has to be responsible for that medical bill all the way through. Sure. Then they wait on checks to come in, or, they're a part of a share box issue situation, I believe, like what you are. With Altrua, we operate with the member-to-member sharing through the escrow account. Okay. So what happens is the member goes to the provider, gives them their ID card, which, the provider then will process the medical bill through and submit that into Altrua. Once we receive it and it becomes an eligible medical bill to be shared in, it turns into a medical need for us. And then that need is shared on all eligible medical needs. We've not shared on any eligible medical need ever. All eligible medical needs have been shared through the escrow account.
Well, that's interesting. And part of that experience, so from your standpoint, when a provider is presented that membership card for, say, a first visit, there's been no reluctance or no hesitation on their part. Does it seem to transact as similar as a insurance claim would?
There's a lot of hesitation. This whole concept, since Obamacare came into place, has really catapulted new levels. And so there's a lot of concern from providers. So one of the things that we do in our medical bill processing, medical need processing department, along with the negotiations and the resolution department, is getting those issues resolved as well. Working with a provider, reassuring them, just like we do our members, that things are okay. We're here for the member. We're not trying to do anything as far as negating the member's responsibility for that medical need. We're working with both the member and the provider to make sure that medical need is resolved at the amount that it says that, that we agreed that it would be resolved. So there has been hesitation. We've got a great team, working on getting those issues resolved. And again, it's training the providers like we have to train our members to be able to understand how the program works.
Right. And one of the things that I think gets people looking around for alternatives is frustrations that they deal with when it comes to a claim that's been denied, a claim that's been appealed, the amount of time. Well, of course, we know there's limits on time that they can get a denied claim through the appeal process. But I think that's one of the biggest frustrations, and was evidenced by this friend that I mentioned to you on Facebook yesterday. Is it literally, people literally spend hours on the telephone dealing with these kinds of insurance issues.
Right.
Yes. You feel that that your alternative and your advocacy for getting that facilitated on behalf of the member is, can we say a rainbow of hope for people that have dealt with these frustrations?
When I was more involved on the day-to-day involvement, being hands-on rather than just being oversight.
Sure.
Visionary. I was getting all sorts of phone calls, letters, cards. Thank you so much, for what you do. We had no idea that we would have support the way we do, like Altrua provides. As Dr. Hull said earlier, it's the prayer support also, that we want to provide, not just the success of that medical bill turning into an eligible medical need and it being shared in by the membership, but having that touch point from people, calling and just letting them know, the members know that we care. It's not just about the sharing in medical expenses. We're concerned about life. We're concerned about your health, your wellness. We had a situation last year where there was a young couple. He had just started a business and they just got married, went to Hawaii for their honeymoon. He was swinging from a tree, landing in water, hit the side of the beach, broke both of his arms and both of his legs.
Oh, wow.
Imagine the catastrophe that could bring for a young couple, and they had their kids back in, Utah and family watching them. So once I heard about it, I gathered a couple of people together. We called the hospital, prayed with them, and she just cried. She's like, I had no idea that insurance company would do this. I said, well, first of all, we're not insurance.
Right.
We're a healthcare sharing ministry, so we're able to do this, to where an insurance company wouldn't do that. So that's one of the benefits you asked earlier about a healthcare sharing ministry, is having those touch points. And I know Dale with Liberty, that he's of the same mind, that, it's about the members. And I know Howard Russell and the others, that participate in it as well. It is truly about the members. And so, as a healthcare sharing ministry, which there are really truly 5 of us that have our recognition letters, right. We care. It's about our relationship, with Christ first, that allows us to have relationship with others. So if we're going to be the hands and feet of Jesus, how do we do that in this world, which is called healthcare sharing?
Well, gentlemen, we want to take a quick break and pay the bills. We'll be back right after this and talk a little bit more about Altrua Healthshare.
Welcome back. During our last break, we spotted a beautiful American robin. Marvelous. It's up mighty early in the morning. What could it possibly be doing? Oh, it appears to have found something. Oh wow, it looks to have lucked out and found a tasty meal. It's just like the saying goes, isn't it? The early bird gets the worm. Which reminds me of how you can go to HEDIScertified.com and use the promo code EARLYBIRD to get our early bird pricing. Purchase before August 1st, 2018, and get the full course for $199. That's a $51 savings. Become the early bird and get lucky, just like this little robin. Marvelous.
So what would you say to the people that feel that your organization is too faith-based, too oriented towards a certain way of belief and feel maybe excluded from your program?
Well, number one, religion is what killed Christ, right?
Correct.
So I'm a non-religious person, and that's the way that I choose to run Altrua as well. And that's the reason why we are considered faith-based. We have biblical-based standards that we operate the membership off of. So everybody who joins Altrua Healthshare agrees to the statement of standards which we have in place. You can't become a member without honoring and abiding by the statement of standards. So that's number one. The second thing to answer the question as far as the religious aspect is, we do have other walks of faith on our program. Again, it's biblically based, but we have the opportunity to evangelize a world through healthcare sharing. So how can we best do that, honoring Christ in all of our actions?
What do you see as the future? What if you were to look out over the next, say, 2 years, what is the future of your program and the outlook?
If I had some sunglasses, I'd wear them right now because the future is very bright. What's that old song, the future's so bright, I got to wear my shades.
Love it.
Yeah. So, when words are spoken and prophecies given, you got to listen and weigh it out and apply it accordingly. And we're doing that. Words have been spoken, prophecy's been given, a mandate has been given to us to reach a goal. So that is where our mission is as an organization and as a team. We have team members that travel around this nation working with individuals and large groups on getting this word spread about healthcare sharing. And so we have members joining left and right. We have open doors that are getting ready to open that's going to cause catastrophic growth with some large organizations, individual families, groups, all of that kind of stuff. So it's a lot. You know, I'm personally a lot bigger thinker than people who deal with current numbers and data. Right. So I'm a data's person. I do like numbers and all of that kind of stuff, but I also see things, you know, a little differently. So I would guesstimate, just in my intuitiveness in understanding, I think that we're probably going to be about a 35 to 40,000 growth by the end of 2019.
Well, that's some phenomenal growth. Yes. And I think that it goes without saying that that kind of growth, this idea of becoming an engaged healthcare consumer. I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Josh Luke, but we've had him on our program previously. But becoming somebody that's not just saying, look, you have to play by a certain set of rules, but actually doing the same things that we do when we purchase a vehicle. Okay, right. We don't just buy a car unseen. We don't just accept the price that's on the window. We have to become engaged in our medical and healthcare to the same level that we do when we're purchasing other goods and services. What would you say to somebody that feels like there's not a lot of options out there?
Well, there aren't a lot of options, but there are 5 options that are legitimate, and I know that the other healthcare sharing ministries are very diligent in trying to make their members more comfortable. I'm biased to Altrua, obviously. I think Altrua is the best, even though they were considered the smallest. Dynamite comes in small packages sometimes, So just understanding where we are and what our vision is and where we're going, I think that Altrua, along with the others, is a great alternative for anybody having questions. We have a full member services team, by the way. If they call 888-244-3839, they can get their questions answered, or as you did, you said the website was very informative and great. So I really appreciate that. We've spent a lot of time on that and trying to get it better every day. So there's a lot of information that a person of interest, can find out about Altrua.
Well, fantastic. We'll be sure to get your website up on the screen here, and definitely send as many inquiries your way as we can. We certainly appreciate you coming on the program, and I'd hope that maybe we could revisit the topic again in the future.
I would love that,
especially as your organization continues to grow.
One thing, we're really implementing a lot of other things for 2019. So, as we're moving through the balance of this year, there are implementations that we're doing for the benefit of the member, because as we grow, we can open up for more things. So there's a lot of things in the pipeline that we're real excited about, some add-ons and different things to the membership types that we have. So looking forward to visiting with you again, maybe the first of the year, if you're open to that, and kind of sharing some of the new things.
Absolutely. Randy and Kevin, thank you so much for coming on Managed Care TV. It's been our pleasure to have you on, and we look forward to potentially talking to you again in the future as your plan continues to grow into the future. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Thank you for your time.